afterwards.
Gotcha.
Because the other one will just show up as like it never started. We can just
Right.
take that later, just in case.
Gotcha. All right. Well, we are live, and it feels good to be back for another episode. I'm just glad I'm able to do a show, and the hurricane hasn't hit yet. Goes out to everybody who is affected by Hurricane Irma. Man, there are islands that are now uninhabitable, which is just absolutely insane to me. And I really and truly hope that people have survived the devastation and will hopefully be able to recover. And I hope that it doesn't hit Florida as bad as the other places, and that it passes over without incident. It's been a crazy couple of days. We got some games on the way for the Xbox community, and a lot of news has hit recently. We're definitely going to chat about some of the game journalists that I've recently heard about trying to apologize for a review that is almost 10 years too late. We're definitely going to hit up, talk about PUBG. We'll talk about a few other things here and there. So, what are you guys playing lately?
Destiny.
That's it.
This is the question.
Destiny. I'm just saying. Everybody's on Destiny, dog. I think Destiny gets a bad rap. Destiny gets a bad rap.
I think it does. I mean, a lot of people try to, downplay it because it's, not the game that it should have been when it first released. So everybody's like, oh, I'll hold off. But every hour, by the hour, there's more people that I see like on social media, like, all right, I'm breaking down, I'm buying it. You know what I mean? They're posting their screenshots and everybody's diving in. There's too many people talking about it. So it becomes irresistible. You know what I mean? You can't resist that urge.
Right.
Destiny 1 definitely deserved the bad rap it got. Like it was pretty appalling. There were a lot of issues with it. And I mean, hey, let's put it this way, Bungie got every critique fixed.
Right.
They fixed every issue everybody had with it. And I'm a huge critic of Destiny 2 and of Destiny in general. And this is a damn good game. I really enjoyed playing it. I got max level. I've done my spiel. I'm having fun.
Gotcha. Okay, sounds good. Well, let's start the show, man. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of stuff to get off our chest. I want to get to some of these topics. I don't want to be on too late, obviously, for a number of reasons. But hopefully everybody enjoys tonight's show, and we'll be back, obviously, with another one next week. All right, so let's begin. Welcome to the Inner Circle Podcast, the premier podcast for Xbox. I'm your host, KORX Kal-El, with B Money 101.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
And Anchorman V.
Hey, everybody, how you guys doing tonight?
And we make up the Inner Circle. Listen, man. So first and foremost, Cuphead is finally going to release after it feels like eons of waiting for this game to come out. We've been seeing so much with the game and hearing so much about the game. I'm just really excited about it, and I can't wait to get an opportunity to get my hands on it and play it. The whole entire game is completely hand drawn, which is absolutely impressive. And it's pure Contra, man. When you look at this thing, it is Contra with a 1930s art style. And I think the art style, not even a game, you put any other indie game, 2D side-scroller shooting like this, and it gets no attention. No one even thinks about the game. But because of the design and the art of the game and the creativity that went into it, this thing is on people's lips, especially the Xbox community. What do you guys think about this, man? You guys excited that this game is finally going to release?
Anchor, go ahead, man.
Sorry, yeah, I mean, definitely. I've been waiting for this game for a long time. I've been a real fan of the Fleischer cartoon art style, as you can tell. For those of you guys watching on the YouTube channel, I am all in for this game. I am ready to go. It's great to finally see it come.
Yeah, I'm glad that it's finally here too. This was one of those games that you know, we got to experience at our first E3. You know, we were kind of walking around the Xbox booth and kind of stumbled upon this game and got a chance to get hands on with it. And ever since then, I've been waiting for it. I've been in love with it. You know what I mean? Like you mentioned, art style is something special, and it's something that draws more attention than any other, you know, little 2D shooter that you would see today. So I'm excited for it. I think my only disappointment in it right now is that there's no online co-op. It's just couch co-op right now, but I believe they said they're going to patch that in later, possibly. So, but I'm super excited for it, man. The 29th can't come soon enough, man.
The funny thing about that is that's one of the most disappointing things about the game is that this game, you've been working on this. Don't get me wrong. I understand why it took so long. Everything is hand drawn. You're trying to keep that artistic integrity. You have watercolors in the background. There's a lot of things happening in the game that I don't even think people realize probably how difficult it was. Because think about it. Initially, this was a rush. This was a rush shooter. This was just a boss rush type game. You would go in, fight some bosses, and probably by the end, you'd be done. Microsoft took this game under its wings, went ahead, gave it a larger budget, helped these guys out, and they wind up producing a full-fledged game with a full story. And it's very exciting for them. Hand drawing. They said they went from. I think they said they went from like 1,000. I'm not sure if it's sketches or whatever they called it in particular. I don't even remember what it was. I don't want to exaggerate the number, but I feel like they said they went from like 1,000 to like 100,000 or like 6,000 or something like that. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's a big jump. 6,000. From 6,000 to 100,000. But I'm saying it was that extreme the way they made it sound. At least it made my jaw drop. When I heard it, it sounded like they said 100,000 sketches. I'm like, bro, that's a lot of work, you know? So it's just funny, man. But listen, you know what I love about Contra to my SNES days was, besides the fact that it was a straight Aliens ripoff, which to me was absolutely amazing as an Aliens fan, is the, you know, kind of like the mini boss battle or the wall that blocks your way before you get there, the awesome guns that you get, you know, from the spread to the flamethrower to the rocket, you're jumping, flipping, dodging. And when I see this, I think of that. But you know what else I think of when I see this game? Have you guys ever played Super Mario Land on the Game Boy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And back in the day in Super Mario Land, you used to have a lot of like flight levels where there's like a lot of dodging and a lot of moving out of the way of projectiles in the air. It reminds me of that, especially with the art style, so much because there's levels like that, both on land, in the sea, and on in the air. And I'm just like really impressed with it. Just feels like the level design isn't the same no matter where you are in the game. It just feels unique and different all throughout the game.
Mm-hmm. The thing about with Cuphead is that how to put this? It's one of those kinds of games that is almost entirely unique for not just the design, but the actual effort and work that goes into every single frame. I was reading a little diary that they were doing. They were talking about the process, and they were saying that they had full watercolor backgrounds in the very back, and then they had a foreground, and then I forgot the term that they had for it, but it's basically you had to basically work on at least 3 different layers. Most you'll have most 2D ones you have is maybe 2.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you do 3. But in this case, like every single frame, every possible thing was hand drawn, and it's one of those things like it's not putting down other developers who do that kind of thing and actually draw or they actually create their own stuff. But this is just on a whole nother level. I don't feel like we actually see on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
Yeah, for me, like I think it's just special because it's like it's a callback to old school games. You know what I mean? I look at my kids and even kids that are older than them, that, maybe started playing Xbox on a 360, and moved to Xbox One, they would have never experienced, original Contra. If you mention that to them, that they don't know what you're talking about. So at least, with this updated game, they got a chance to get that feel. And then in 10 years, they can say, did you ever play that Cuphead game? That game was amazing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because like for us, it's like we can call back Contra, but they don't know what that is. But in 10 years, they can be like, hey, did you guys check out that Cuphead game? That game was pretty good. So, it's always good to have those callbacks. To kind of keep the old school stuff, going forward. So
it's kind of like like when Sonic Mania came back.
Yeah,
it was like that. It was that almost that challenge of like, okay, you haven't had this kind of game in the last decade. Let's see if you still got it. Let's see if you still hang with us. Still do it that way. Because like I remember the first time I played Contra, at least for an extended period of time. I was probably freshman in high school. I'd snuck over to this girl's house, and we were like after school, and we just sat there and played Contra the whole time. It was just
all right.
It was a big deal.
There's something that I don't believe about this whole thing you just said. You
no, it was
snuck over to a girl's house.
Yeah.
Oh man, we need to get this girl on Tick Podcast next week. I need to find out.
You got to verify.
I was trying to find her the other day. Actually, that was the thing. I was trying to remember what. Because I used to follow her on Twitter a long time ago. Like she was the person who got me on Twitter. That I never used Twitter for like 4 years. Not until college.
Were you following her or were you stalking her? That's the question.
No. She got me on Twitter in the first place, and I was like, my first tweet was, what was her tag again?
Gotcha. Oh man. So so I'm excited, man. Now Cuphead comes out when? September 19th?
29th.
29. Oh, that's at the end of the month. That's perfect. Gives me plenty of time to pick it up. I'm excited about the game, and I really hope it becomes a big franchise like Ori. I know Ori's not the biggest franchise, but I think that Ori is a successful franchise. We'll be seeing a sequel to that, and I hope Cuphead becomes something stable for Microsoft that they can continue with, maybe a Cuphead 2. I'm really not a fan of these like one and done games that Microsoft's been putting out this generation. Not to say that sequels are also the greatest thing, but I think when you have new IPs, you want to continue those new IPs because they're fresh and you want to continue those stories. It's like, I'm all for the next Halo without question. I'm all for the next Gears and the next Forza series, without question. As a diehard Xbox guy, those are games that I'm always looking to, and I always know they're going to be high quality. But those aren't the sequels that sometimes you may want. So a lot of us do want sequels to Rise, Son of Rome. A lot of people do want sequels to Sunset Overdrive. A lot of people want sequels to Ori and the Blind Forest, and some people are really looking forward to the next State of Decay. So, for me, I would love to see these franchises continue, especially since Microsoft isn't really pushing that platformer side of gaming like they should, that me and B constantly go at Microsoft about when it comes to Rare and all the platforms that they have. So at least if they have these two great looking 2D side scrollers, they have at least something that they can push that will appeal towards not just the adult side and the creative side and the fun side of adults, but also kids. And I think that's pretty cool in itself. So my boy and I have been playing Destiny 2. And before we get into Destiny full blown, I want to bring up this thing about gaming quirks. And what I mean by that is things in gaming, things in games throughout the history of games that he and I have played together that we've questioned. Like why? Like we've taken something in a game and made it realistic and questioned why, or said, this is bad. Just look at the way this is set up. What's next coming is bad. So one of the things we talked about was when you get on the elevator and you're on the elevator, right? You walk through the elevator and you're facing the elevator, and when the elevator comes down, the door opens up behind you. that was one of the things we were talking because we was like, dude, how many times in Halo we would be playing Halo 1 or Halo 2? You get on the elevator, you going down in Halo, and the freaking door opens up behind you, and there's a bunch of enemies behind you shooting you in the back or something like that. It's one of those gaming type quirk things where you have to be like, if this is happening, you know something bad is going to happen next. Or if this is happening, you have to question why. Like, I just fought a wolf in the wild, and this wolf just gave me $100. Why does this wolf have more money on him than I have on myself? Where is the pockets on this wolf? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, like what was it? What was it? There was one that, like, I saw someone like actually go off on a rage thing when Fallout 4 came out. Like, you go to the it's like one of the very starter places you go to, and it's got this sanctuary in the houses, and they have this safe that has not been opened for 200 years. And when you open that safe, inside are a bunch of bottle caps and a handmade pistol out of wood and splinters. And you're like, why is there a pistol like this? I understand, like, from a game mechanics standpoint, it makes sense because it's an easy starter weapon. It's like, okay, that makes sense. But it's like, this thing's been closed for 200 years. Which crazy maniac was out there, like, in the peak of human civilization, was saying, I'm going to make something out of wood in a rusty pipe. I'm going to make a barrel out of this and make a gun.
Because the funny part about it is that he made the gun out of the wood, but I bet you the locker was made out of metal. Like, I bet you like the locker.
Oh no, it's an actual safe. It was like it was an actual physical metal safe. Like,
that makes it
why
even
would
worse.
you do this?
That makes it worse. Another thing we said was like, when you walk down a hallway and the hallway's crooked, like the hallway's slanted, and you're walking down the hall, you're like, dude, you know it's about to go down. Whatever, once we get through this hallway, whatever we come out at, it's about to go down. You know what I'm saying? I remember we were playing Destiny, we were doing some side missions, and we were walking through this hallway, and I think it's the Vex, and the hallway shaped like a triangle. A freaking but the floor is slanted to the right. They were like, dude, slanted hallway is not a good hallway. And that's a gaming. You got to keep that in mind. This is not good. If you play any game and you're walking down a slanted hallway, bro, it's not good. Something bad's gonna happen to you. You know what I'm saying? And then one of the final things we said was pits. Anytime you go to the end of like the game, like you get to a certain area and there's a pit, you already know. Once you jump down into that pit, it's going down. Like, you got to be ready. You got to be prepared, because it's about to go down. So it's just funny, man, just thinking about those things in gaming quirks and throughout all of the games that we've played together, co-op wise. It's just really funny, especially just history in general. Like, if you play Zelda or something, or you play some adventure game, and you get to a room, and everything you could possibly want is there. All the ammo, all the health packs, all the weapons you could possibly want. You're swapping and looking at them. You're like, dude, because whatever you do next, it's gonna be hard as hell. Son. That next fight about to be hard as hell. So you better re-up on everything you possibly can, because it's about to go down. So yeah, man, it's gaming quirks. It's really funny, really good stuff, man. Oh man, do you guys have any quirks in general that you guys can remember that really kind of got to you, or you was like, damn, I knew this was going to happen?
Yeah. What else is there? I think we were talking about this. Like, anytime you enter a circular room, you're screwed. like what was it? We were just doing something in Destiny 2. One of the raid rooms. You walk in, you see a circle. It's like, okay, this is the boss stage. This is the boss room. All right, just get ready.
What about you, B?
The autosave feature.
Yeah, autosave.
Yeah.
Anytime you get someplace it's an autosave, bro, you know the next thing is a big boss battle or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say the autosave, and anytime you run into a room, you know, there's just racks of guns and you know what I mean, ammo everywhere. You know it's about to be serious. So, you know what I mean, get locked and loaded and get going, man.
Yeah, definitely. Crazy stuff. So moving on. Recently, there was some news about a journalist, I believe from Kotaku.
I think it's Venture.
Is it Venture Beat? Is it Venture
I
Beat?
think it's Venture Beat. I think so.
Venture Beat. Okay. Either way, it's a website that constantly rips Microsoft. Let's just put it like that. And this guy has come out and apologized about a review he did for Mass Effect. How many years ago? When did Mass Effect 1 come out?
No, that
was it Mass Effect 1 or was it Mass Effect Andromeda? Was it Andromeda?
It was a few years ago. Andromeda just came out.
Mass Effect 1, right?
I don't remember. I this particular subject I don't know anything about.
I think it was Mass Effect 1. Last time I heard. So this reviewer comes out, he does his review, he trashes Mass Effect 1, which in my opinion is an absolute classic. First of all, it's done by my favorite video game studio in BioWare. And I'm just right around when 360 was at its peak and just killing the game with games. Mass Effect comes out. I mean, they're shutting the industry down, just dropping games left to right. And Mass Effect at the time, we didn't know nothing about time exclusivity at that time. It was just straight exclusive. So it was huge. It was a big, big title. And actually that game wasn't time exclusive. It was a full exclusive until EA bought BioWare. So, all right. So what winds up happening is this reviewer gets upset. He doesn't like the game. He trashes the game, gives it a poor review. Realizes 10 years later and writes an apology letter to the fans and to, I guess, BioWare, and talks about how he didn't know what he was doing in the game. And that he had all of these points. And the reason why he was getting killed and beaten so much was because he never leveled up his character.
So he never played an RPG before?
He never, I don't know. I just can't comprehend it. The points are, when you go into the menu screen, the points are on the screen. The numbers going up. You would question, hey, that number used to be a 1. Now it's a 2. You know what I'm saying? You have to question, hey, that used to be a 2. Now it's a 10. Something's up. What are these numbers for? But at no point does he question the numbers and the amount of points you get going up. Therefore, he doesn't level his character. So he's playing the game, and the game's getting more difficult, and he's not leveling up, and he's getting wrecked. Let alone, he's not putting points into his other characters, like the side characters. He's not putting points into them. So they're getting destroyed left and right. You know what I'm saying? And he's like losing. So he gives the game like a 4 out of 10. A poor score. And then realizes that was what was wrong with the game. And once he puts the points into the characters and into his character or whatever, or to his 2 side characters, he then realizes, oh, the game is actually really, really good. And this has brought up a thing where do we question, should video game journalists be good at playing video games? And, when we decided to make TICGN, and not the boast, I thought it was really important to me that we emphasize that everybody on the team are gamers first and writers second. We're not journalists, but we have professional writers on the team, and we try to make sure that what we put out is a quality work. You know, it's not something that looks like it's not legible, illiterate, or anything like that. You know, words are spelled correctly, sentence structures there, punctuations are there. We try to make sure those things are there. But what you get is news and reviews from a real gamer, from a gamer's perspective, not a journalist. And I wonder if that matters. Does that matter to gamers? If a journalist, like, can a journalist be objective if they don't know what they're doing with the game? Because then that could ruin a score for a game. How many journalists have we had where we've had good games get poor reviews because they didn't know what they were doing? What is your guys' thoughts on this?
I think there is like too many journalists that have jobs in the game industry and write game reviews and game previews that aren't gamers. You know what I mean? I think you can look at the most recent thing with the Cuphead like gameplay. The journalist came out and said that, you know what I mean, he's a journalist. He doesn't play video games. Like, he thought Cuphead would be like a Mario game, and it wasn't, and that's not something he was used to. You know what I mean? So I think when you can just tell just by like the trend, more and more gamers put their faith in guys like us, you know what I mean, influencers on YouTube and things like that. And that's why the influencer culture has grown so much. You know what I mean? You look at guys like Angry Joe, and you know what I mean, and Boogie, and you know what I mean, all these big guys who have kind of influenced, you know, media. And then you look at, you know, other influencers such as like the YouTubers for like, you know, big games like Overwatch and 2K and things like that. More people put trust into those gamers versus, you know what I mean, what they read on a website like IGN or Game Informer or whatever the case may be. So
right.
I just think that, you know what I mean, people go to school, you know what I mean, they get degrees in journalism and things like that. But being in the game industry is more than just, you know, being a great writer. You know what I mean? You have to be a gamer too, in my opinion.
Right.
This is a interesting topic in particular because I've been having this discussion the last about 48 hours, and gaming is an entirely different medium than almost anything else, because gaming requires active participation from the viewer. It's the only medium that's out there that in order to get anything out of it, you have to actively be doing something. Like you could say you can watch a movie, but watching a movie is a passive event. It doesn't require you to do anything. It requires you to sit there and receive what is being given to you. And you have movies like that. Sports are like that too. At least not in terms of like playing sports, but like when you're commentating on it, thing you're watching somebody else do something. But gaming is something that's just entirely unique, and so it's hard to give like a 1-to-1 ratio. But I think people generally agree that if you want someone to have some sort of say in an industry or something, that they require some sort of expertise in it, and there's no here's my gaming degree. There's no college that teaches gaming necessarily. There's game design, there's journalism, but there's nothing that says, okay, what is gaming? There's no actual degree. Like we can't pull out like, oh well, I'm a certified gaming journalist because I have my gaming journalist degree. Like there's nothing like that. It's simply people who can absorb the medium and bare minimum be able to play whatever game that they're attempting to play. And like I watched the Cuphead gameplay, and I don't think it's so much that it's like it was, oh, Cuphead's hard. I mean, I've heard Cuphead's pretty hard, and I played it. It was challenging enough, tough. but starting on the second jump of the tutorial for 2 minutes,
right,
that's pretty cringy. And like I don't think we should discredit the guy entirely. I mean, the guy spent over like 20 years in the industry, like just writing and doing all stuff. We shouldn't discredit him for that. But it's just like then you see all these not developers. Then you see all these journalists writing reviews like, "Oh, Crash Bandicoot is the Dark Souls of 3D platformers."
Yeah, like everything is a Dark Souls now. You know what I mean?
Everything is Dark Souls.
Everything is
Dark Souls. Everything is Dark Souls.
Yeah,
it's out of control.
it just makes you question a few little things. Like, okay, like what was the big thing that happened like 2 years ago? I think it was with like Forza Horizon 2 or something, where like there was a guy who complained saying, "I don't even like racing games. I didn't like Forza Horizon 2." And it was like, why are you reviewing it then? Did you think it was going to change your mind?
That's like the dude who reviewed Forza Horizon. Yeah, like you said, Forza Horizon 2. I was thinking of Forza 2. I don't know why I was thinking of Forza 2. But yeah, I remember that. The guy gave the game a 4 out of 10 and reviewed Forza Horizon 2 and gave that game a 4 out of 10 and then said in the review, he doesn't even like racing games, bro. Yeah. Like, do you understand? Like, do you really comprehend that? And the bad part about it was, here's the bad part about it. That type of journalist would be the type of journalist that would be on Metacritic. and give that game that probably could have had, and I don't put a lot of stock in Metacritic, but a lot of people do. And this is why I talk about when, like, a lot of people like, oh, shouldn't care about Metacritic and you shouldn't care about those things. And honestly, I don't. As a gamer, I don't. As a media type, I certainly do for our own website and our own people who do reviews. I absolutely would love to have our team on a review congregate site like that. However, as a gamer, I don't care about it. But the problem is that a lot of people, especially when it comes to advertisers, use Metacritic as an end-all, be-all. They grab a lot of reviews from there, a lot of comments from there, especially when they're doing advertisements for their actual games themselves. And when you see a game that could have had an amazing score, like a 98 or 95 or better, or even a 90, and it gets a 4 out of 10 for someone who says, I don't even like racing games, and it drops into an 89, you say that's not that important. But the perception, because gamers are so, what's the word I'm looking for? Because gamers are so adamant and finicky when it comes to, it's almost OCD-ish in a way, where it's like, if it's not this way, then it's all hell breaks loose. Like if it's not this score, then especially the competing console fans, if it's not this score, then it's terrible. It's the end of the world. 1 point, it's the end of the world, and that could drop that score out of that range. So it's just one of those things where people should really be aware of what they're playing and who they're playing. You also run the risk of giving someone who could be biased towards the game. If someone is a complete and total, utterly fanboy for a particular game, like say, for example, Anchorman and Fallout, there's no way I would ever give Anchorman Fallout to review.
Hey, I'm pretty objective about stuff. Like
I would never give Anchorman v Fallout to review because I feel that even if the game was like, if the game was, say, for example, a 4 out of 10, he would give it a 6 out of 10. He would give it those 2 additional points because he loves Fallout that much. And that's when you run the risk of someone who is such a big fan of a particular product that they may over review the game, even though the game really isn't that good.
Yeah. And, let's talk about the other aspect of that too. Like I was kind of hitting on a little earlier about gaming in particular. Just like I said before, is one of those things where there's no comparison to it necessarily in terms of another industry. But what would you want this? Seriously, would you want someone who, especially in this hurricane season in particular, would you want somebody who can't read a Doppler radar to tell you what the weather forecast is going to be in the next 3 days? No.
Bruh.
I want someone who can tell me, like, can read the map and can be proficient at the most basic of things. I think nobody's asking anybody to be the best at any game. Like, heck, I'm terrible at a lot of games. I'm not awful, but I can jump. I can do a platformer in my sleep. Like, it's not that difficult. But I think that's the real issue, though. It's like we do want some general level of like, hey, I can at least do this much.
It's just funny. I agree.
But I also think that, you know what I mean, when reviewers are like reviewing games, like journalists are reviewing games, I think they should play it to a certain percentage before they are able to give like the review. I think a lot of journalists have come out with review scores and haven't completed a good portion of the game. And then like later on, we find out like, you know, there's some game breaking bug or whatever the case may be about the game later on from, you know, a different journalist or a different website or whatever the case may be. So I think that also has to be something that people take a look at as well. Right. I think a lot of times, like, you know, we see super high scores and then we see some super low scores. And then you see a lot of stuff in the middle. So you kind of have to, you know, if you're going to look at reviews, take all of that into account and read at least what the reviewer is saying about the game and not just the actual score.
Agreed. Absolutely agree. Hey, B, I know you've been playing 2K, man. And I was on the fence of getting NBA Live because I grew up on NBA Live, but I've been a 2K fan since I bought a Sega Dreamcast. Shout out to Lord Cognito, Sega Dreamcast for life. It's just one of those things where I've been wanting a football game from 2K to return to just stomp a hole in Madden for the longest time. I know there's a lot of Madden fanboys out there, and I still play Madden. Don't get it twisted. I do play Madden, but man, they will never ever be a game that can replace 2K5. So 2K18, the basketball game, NBA 2K18, continues to dominate its presence with being the dominant basketball game out here. Live took some time off. Live came back. Live actually looked pretty good and played pretty well. I think it's just hard for them now to return after like a 2-year hiatus.
Yeah,
or something like that.
16 was the last game before this one.
I think it's pretty hard for them to return after 2 years and then try to compete. Now, they did cut the price in half to try to get into homes, which I thought that was smart. I think they should have went lower. They should have pulled the 2K and went $19.99, honestly. But 2K just dropped some bombs, and I just think that when you see what they announced and the way they did it, man, it's pretty freaking impressive. B, let us know what's going on with 2K.
Yeah, so it's a 2K promo run right now. Everybody's 2K is putting out all their information for the year. They usually wait to the last minute just because they build up all the hype and it's usually worth it. So last week they actually had their one of the 2K events and they announced the neighborhood. Which is going to be one of the online features of this year. So you basically will create your My Player, and instead of having like a bunch of different courts that you have to load up into, because in previous years they had like three different divisions of online courts you play if you're playing like the My Park. So this year they made it one big neighborhood, so everything is there. You can go buy new sneakers. You can go to the barbershop. You can play pickup games. You can play like 21. You can have like a dunk contest. You can have 3-point shootout. And they actually just released a prelude, which came out yesterday officially, which it's pretty good for what it is. But to be honest, it's kind of a disappointment when compared to what Live released with their demo. Just because I feel like Live gave so much, and they kind of had to since they took the 2 years off.
Right.
What I mean? They let you create your My Player. They kind of let you dig in a little bit, get a feel of the game. They had Play Now, which featured the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors, and then they just recently updated it since Kyrie got traded to the Boston Celtics. So they add the Celtics on there as well as the Rockets. So you could play, 4 different teams, kind of get a feel for Live. Whereas 2K, they basically let you create your player and you go through a couple pickup games and then you get scouted by whatever your favorite team is because they let you like pick your favorite team. So then a scout comes up from that favorite team and then, you go try out for whatever team it is that you chose. So you play a couple of pickup games there, and then after that, the demo pretty much ends, which is kind of a disappointment for me, just because the game releases within a week or so, and I felt like they could have gave us a little bit more, especially since Live lets you play online with other players right now. They kind of gave a little bit more to the fans, and 2K kind of just said, hey, here it is, you guys enjoy this for a week. And we'll see you next week. So once you create your player, you have to kind of delete the game to create different archetypes. Unfortunately, which is also a disappointment. I felt like they should have allowed you to make different archetypes, because this is the first year where you can make dual archetypes. So you can make like a 3-point specialist and like a shot creator, or someone who's great at dropping dimes, or specializes in defense, or like a stretch big, and playmaking. So I felt like they should have opened it up more so you can try out different archetypes, see what the best player was going forward, because that's the player that you're going to transfer into the main game. So that was a disappointment. But there's a workaround. Just delete it and then boot it back up and play it over again. So, but I'm super excited, man. 2K is usually my game of the year. Once 2K comes out, I'm pretty much done. Don't talk to me about no other games. So,
he said it was my game. He said it's my game of the year, bro.
That's right, man. Once 2K comes out, man, everything else is relevant. So
not there too, bro. Not Horizon Zero Dawn, though. 2K18, son, for the win.
That's right, man. All day, every day.
I don't understand how anybody could say Horizon Zero Dawn is their game of the year.
I mean, everybody goes to
and
the game of the year, bro.
Not have played Zelda, not have even tried Wolfenstein 2, not have even tried some of the greatest games of the generation.
What's crazy? It's like I was super excited for Wolfenstein, and I'm probably still going to pick it up, but it's probably not going to get played until the top of the next year, to be honest. With 2K and Destiny out, it's going to be tough for me to play anything else, to be totally honest. And I was super excited for Wolfenstein.
Lord God Howard will accept that as long as you do not play other games, other single player games.
I have to admit with EA, man, what's crazy about what EA has done with like the Madden franchise and creating this My Story? They've implemented stories in sports. Like this is like really big to me, because before you just get the game. We always say that it's just Madden every year, nothing's changed. You have an opportunity now to actually every year have somebody be something other than a quarterback. You can be, this is about a stud running back this year. It could be about a stud wide receiver this year. And you can play these different positions in the game. They should do this. This is what I'm saying. Like, it should be a quarterback every year. It should be something like a different position, a different story, different dialogue. And 2K tried to do the same thing the year before. I remember playing 2K16, I think it was. 2K16 or 2K17, 2K16. I remember playing 2K16 for the first time, because I haven't played a 2K game in a long time, and having to create a character and them doing the whole thing with your best friend, and he was wild. Then he gets to a car accident and he dies, and you in the slump. Yo, I was like, dude, this is this is dope. Like, this is dope, because I'm like,
it's like a melodrama. Jeez.
Yeah, it's like showing you all the stress you got to deal with. You got to talk to the owner. You can request a trade. I'm like, yo, this is fire. Yeah. This right here is fire. And they need to continue this going forward, because it makes you want to play the game, not just for the sport aspect of it, but because it actually has a single player experience. And that's something you could never, ever fathom in a sports game. So my hat's off to 2K and EA and what they're doing, man. And I hope they continue it. And I really hope it takes off, because, man, it can go such a long. They can touch on so much stuff, domestic violence. They can talk about much stuff. They can really do so much stuff with these sports games if they just let it all out and just go all out. So like the Ezekiel Elliott situation, you know what I'm saying? Talk about domestic violence and suspensions and trying to fight the suspension. Gold diggers, like the real life, bro, would be amazing. I would buy that in a heartbeat.
Have like a Tom Brady situation, like, did you inflate the balls, and you have to play like a Phoenix Wright all of a sudden. Game switches.
They'd be like, did you inflate the balls? If I'm Tom Brady, everything is yes. I'm telling the truth, because I don't trust the Patriots.
Hey, he's falling for the Madden curse. He got smoked.
Yeah. I don't wish injuries on nobody. I don't want him to get injured, but I hope they have the worst season that they ever had. I'm a Jets fan. You already know I'm reeling, because my team sucks, but we getting probably a first pick in the draft next year. But anyway, let's move on. So Destiny 2 is freaking great, man. There's too much hate for Destiny 2. Destiny 2 is a really good game. It's a big, huge improvement over the first game. I really have to tip my hat off to Bungie and Activision. And what they've accomplished with Destiny 2. You listen, when I get a chance to watch Darth Cabal talk, and
Cabal.
and I've watched the story play out, I'm really impressed with the dialogue and the atmosphere and the music. Everything about the game is really impressive, man. And I'm having a lot of fun with the game. Me and my boy just playing this game a lot, just been really impressed with everything. Though I do wish, if there's one thing I do wish that they did have differently, I wish that they had maybe given I think my only gripe is not so much that the subclasses have changed, but the way they have the subclasses set up in groups. Because in the first game, you could mix and match abilities. So I felt like you had this open circular bar and you can go up and down in selections of what you wanted for a particular class. So like if you want, like I'm a hunter. So if I wanted double knives, I could have double knives. If I wanted a flaming knife, I could have a flaming knife. But that wasn't attached to 6 shots. You know what I'm saying? Like 6-shooter wasn't attached to it. Which to me, in my opinion, it hurts it because I don't want 6 shots. To me, 6 shots, first of all, in my opinion, is weaker and it burns out way too fast compared to just having your 3 shots, which lasts much longer. In my opinion, is much stronger. So, but if I want to get the flame knife, which I think is great, the explosive knife, which I think is an amazing perk, I have to select that. And I have to select that package. That's the only gripe I have with the game. But
well,
other than
there's
that,
your first problem. You chose Hunter. That's your first problem.
Listen, it's nothing wrong with the golden gun, baby. Okay, Hunter to me is an amazing class. I love the class, and listen, I'm Superman, man. I gotta have the cloak. If I can't have the cloak on,
how can you be the Man of Steel though? How can you be the Man of Steel like that?
I can't. First of all, I can't be soft walking around with a bangle on my arm, looking all pretty. You warlocks out there with the little bangle, or
Titan, man,
or the Titans with their little sash on the side of their leg. You want to sashay around and try to kill people? Nah, bruh. It's all about that.
You're killing Cognito right now.
You gotta have the cape. You gotta have the cape on 24/7, bro. You don't got the cape on, looking real. With the hood on, son. Like what they had hood mellow at 99, at 98, bro. I'm like hood mellow, son. 98, though. You gotta put the hood on and go all out, son. Hunters for the win all day, every day, bro.
Oh man, Warlocks is where it's at. I mean, for me, like I think the one thing, you know, you kind of touched on it, that is a disappointment for me is like I feel like they took away the customization. You know what I mean, for your character. I felt like, you know what I mean, without like grinding to make your guns better, you know what I mean, so you can like different variations for your guns, or even like, you know what I mean, the stuff you would get as you grind it, like your armor pieces and like your helmet and stuff like that. Like all that stuff is gone. So I feel like almost every gun is the same. You know what I mean? It just, you know, increases with power as you gain more guns or whatever. None of them really feel much different. If you get like one auto rifle, it's no different than the next one. You know what I mean? The pulse rifles. I mean, all the guns feel exactly the same. And without the extra buffs from like, you know, how you would grind your old armor, I feel like everyone is going to be the same. You know what I mean? I haven't played the Crucible yet just because I'm trying to finish the campaign.
And also matchmaking's garbage.
So. Yeah, I feel like once I get on there that everybody will probably have similar weapons. We were probably all like if there's one warlock on the map, then there's another one who's just like me. You know what I mean? So I feel like everyone would be the same. There's not much different variations to the character. You know what I mean? So that's the one disappointment I have for it.
I think when it comes to Destiny 2, I've been a huge critic of the Destiny franchise. I feel like with them, they've been sitting back, they've been listening to everyone has complained about, and they literally put out a game where they're like, okay, how do we fix what everyone complained about? And they did. They fixed every single issue. However, all the issues I have with the game are all self-inflicted. Like it's stuff that either that they changed that doesn't work, or things they introduced that just doesn't work. Like one of the things in particular is the shaders. The shaders, yeah, you can get them pretty easy once you start getting to a higher level, but they changed it from being like you apply it and it's unlimited uses. You can flip between shaders real quickly. You can't do that anymore. It's a single use item.
Right.
As soon as you use it, it's latched onto that individual item and it's done. It's a one-time consumable. You cannot take it off. It just disappears and it sucks. I hate that. Like, it'd be one thing if it was like, okay, you get like 3 or 4 of the same shader and you could put on individual pieces of armor, which is great. I like having that option. But the problem with that is that they force you to make that decision of, I want this to look like this for the rest of my life. I can't change it. Like, if I find anything better, too bad. And they kind of tie it to these the microtransactions. It's wrong. It's really annoying.
I have to admit, the shader thing is a pain in the butt. I do at first I thought I was like, dude, this is awesome. You could put a shader on anything. I put a shader on my speeder. This I forgot what it's called, Nebula Rolls. Oh my god. What? Yo, my speeder look amazing, son. It's got like this freaking spectacular like rose gold type finish on it. It's all metallic. Yo, it look blaze. But then you kind of run out. And then it's like, if you want to change the color, or if you get a better piece of armor, it looks better. I mean, you can always infuse into the armor if you have a set of armor that you truly like. But if you start getting exotic armor, you start getting legendary armor that you really like, that's got really good perks on it, and you want to swap out, you lose those colors. And that kind of sucks. And some people say, don't worry about it. You get a ton of shaders, the same shaders over and over later on.
Yeah, right.
But honestly, I haven't gotten any of the stuff that I initially got early in the game that I thought were really cool. So, I mean, that is a small gripe. I don't think it's a killer.
None of these are killer gripes. These are just issues that I do not like. And what the other one I think is really a pain in the butt is it's really inconsistent messaging about how big is a fire team, where they are insisting on this 3-man structure, but then you go to Crucible, then you got to find one random. Right. It doesn't jive. Like, what would they do? If it was 6, it'd be great. If they did 6, it'd be like, 2 fire teams. It makes sense.
But they're doing that because of Halo. Because Halo Slayer was 4v4. That's classic. And they're trying to bring that 4v4 feel back. But I think you've already established the 6v6. And I really love the 6v6. What they did improve on was that everybody doesn't have their super ability every 5 minutes. Seconds. Right. It's like when you get the super, you either earned it or it's towards the end of the game when it matters. And I kind of like that. I have to admit. Yeah. Overall, though, I think the game is good. I like the story improvement. I will have to freaking play Elder Scrolls Destiny. It's basically what I called the first game, where you got to find grimoires and go online and read books and stories.
Thank God.
I don't have to do that.
Grimoire. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm glad that's approved. The clan joint is the dopest. I got my squad is on there. We already had 67,000. I already maxed out my 5,000 points towards my clan. So we're on our way to 100,000 before the week is out. My squad is deep. We're getting ready for this raid. We're excited about that. So
wait, how much you guys up to now?
67, I think, or maybe 70,000.
Channel 5, we're up to 99,000 in one day.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. The Channel 5 crew, is a dedicated Destiny crew. They are specialists. They're like the Navy SEALs. We're the Marines. That's all it is. That's the difference. I'm not gonna lie about that. You know what I'm saying? But what the Navy SEALs does, they specialize in that thing. You know what I'm saying? For us, we do a whole bunch of other stuff too. COD, Battlefield. We're really nice and all that other stuff. So, but anyway,
jack of all trades, master of none. Man.
No. We're master of all trades.
I don't see that. You guys are behind us.
Don't get it twisted. We got guys playing other games too. Guys who play Conan. Some guys are on GTA. And every once in a while we all get up on Destiny, but we do play the raid and we do play multiplayer together.
All I'm hearing are excuses.
So anyway, hey, when's the last time you played Fallout?
Shut up, man. That was a low blow. That went too hard.
Exactly. Be quiet. Anyway, but Destiny 2 is good, man. I hope it gets some really good reviews. I haven't seen it. I don't know if anybody's on the team for TICGN is going to review it. Hopefully they do. And we'll get that review out to some to the fans out there who go to TICGN.com. Listen, man, that's pretty much it for the show today. I'm really grateful for everybody stopping out. Thank you for all the support. Football season has started. The Patriots have lost. I have to bring this up. Shout out to Mike from Multiverse. I hope you get many L's this season, Mike. I really and truly do. I wish your team the worst season possible. On another note, make sure you guys tune in tomorrow to the Iron Lord podcast, our new network show with Cog and Addict, King, and Solve. Make sure you guys turn to the Lords tomorrow, man. These guys are an amazing group of gamers, energetic, funny, amazing intros, and a great talent and breadth for all gaming, especially Xbox, Destiny, Nintendo, and of course Sega. So make sure you tune in tomorrow for that. And again, we will be back next week, Saturday. Our new times are Saturday at 10 o'clock. I do apologize for coming on late. Hurricane season is here, man. I'm stuck in the middle of this hurricane. Hopefully, I will be able to do a show next week. And you know, we're not devastated. My city and my house and everything isn't devastated, and I can return. Everything is normal. But we're hunkering down, and you know, right now it's freaking sunny today in Florida. But we'll see what happens as the next day comes along and the hurricane finally hits, and hopefully everything goes by nice and well. Tune in on Mondays for the Multiverse with Anchorman V. Tuesdays. Normally we would have Trophy Life on Tuesdays, but Trophy Life right now is on hiatus because we are hunting for new podcasters. Make sure you tune in Wednesdays for I'm sorry, Wednesdays is for 2XP podcast, which will be on Fame Entertainment's channel with an upload following either Wednesday or Thursday. And of course, I am moving Super Pod Shots to Fridays. So that way we will have Super Pod Shot on Friday and you'll have Tick Podcast on Saturday. And make sure you guys subscribe to our podcast networks on iTunes, Google, and Stitcher, and pretty much any app you can find. Just look up TIC Podcast as one word, plus whatever service you have, whether it's Google Play or iTunes, and you should be able to find us and subscribe there, or TIC Space Network, and you'll be able to find all our network shows, which is Multiverse, 2XP, Iron Lord Podcast, and Trophy Life. So really appreciate everybody stopping out, man. Really appreciate the support. It's late. I had to get prepped, so we will not have a Q&A tonight, but make sure you tune in tomorrow at 11 a.m. for the Iron Lord Podcast. And you'll be able to catch that show if you miss it on Tick Network. So before I head out, B, you got any final thoughts or anything you want to chat about?
No, I'm good to go, man.
Anchor?
Nope.
All right. Well, listen, man, I'm your host, KORX Kal-El, the last son of Planet Xbox, with Anchorman V and B Money 101. Yeah, I've been saying it for almost 3.5 years now, so there's no reason why I should mess that up. And we are off this planet. You guys have a great night. Peace.
See you.